Trading session. I'm in a trade right now on both ES and NQ, basically short. Let me explain my thought process behind it. So we're in an H1 fair value gap, good rejection off of it. Wicked in a couple times with no successful closes. On the 1 minute, we got a nice M1 M1. So sweep, low broken here, fair value gap created. So I entered off the fair value gap, the low, the discount with the fair value gap, and you can see we're getting a nice low buildup of liquidity on the bottom. So I believe we are going to sweep that fairly soon. And basically NQ is definitely a lot weaker, so I went with more contracts on here versus ES. I just placed them both on there just so I didn't miss it in case it was going to, kind of just didn't, in case NQ wasn't going to come up all the way. Obviously that isn't the case. We're kind of filling this area in very well, but yeah, I'm pretty confident on it. Got relatively equal lows here and here. Buy stop just above this wick, this STH, and basically this could go pretty decently. I mean, we kind of switched to more of a downtrend, if that makes sense. So if you go, here we broke structure, kind of coming up, you could kind of resort to this as like a breaker, H4 or H1 fair value gap. It didn't touch on here, but it touched on ES. I'll show you that. Yeah, on ES you could see we had that H1 fair value gap, had a candle close, kind of rejecting that. One more time, up manipulation at the beginning of this hour, and then looks like it's gonna start moving down. You can see the divergence right there between the H1s on either end, from the AM session to the PM session, and just overall NQ's definitely been weaker. And then it has a lot cleaner of a target if I was to hold it all the way through. So you can see all these poor lows here. Didn't sweep any of those going down. So overall could be a good area to hold to. I'll probably obviously take some profit before then, but you can see right now we're moving down pretty well. I'll go on the 30-second, kind of paint a better picture. So we just, that's not really a break of structure, but we're definitely rejecting pretty well. Same thing on ES, 30-second. Yeah, rejecting pretty well on both these. It should drop relatively soon, or else we're going to be coming back up and sweeping these highs. I mean, it's already been here pretty long. Yeah, looks like it wants to come up for one more sweep of these highs. So maybe that wasn't the best spot. Maybe that wasn't the best spot to add, but it looked decent going into it. So we'll see. We got equal lows. I'm not too worried about the stop being taken on the situation. And same thing over here. Like this is just, I mean, these should be taken any second now. It looks like we're about to take lows. We just took lows on that. We're going to take lows on, look at the divergence. So actually ES is a bit weaker at the moment. Interesting. If it forms on NQ, I might add one more because that's ridiculous to not take those lows. Not the best looking. Let's see on the 2. Now we're going to move back down. And it looks like NQ is about to take these lows now. So I added one more. We're getting an odd push up on these right now. That's why. Not too fond of these highs. It'd be nice if I sweeped them and left my high or my stop in place, but yeah, I'm not a huge fan of these right here. Just gonna go on the record and say that.
unless it has a unless it comes up here, sweep these last two highs, and then has a strong reaction to the downside. Do we have a 30? We have a fair value gap up here too as well, so it could be returning to that. We swept these highs an extent. Strong reaction to the downside. I might use this to de-risk some just in case. Okay, that was a decent area to de-risk. We're going to de-risk one over here as well. De-risked one. One. Just in case. Just in case. I'll pyramid off continuations, but I don't really like this chop right now. If it wants to break the low, I'll get in on fair value gaps going down.
Some reaction off it, but nothing to brag about off this 30-second fair value gap. I think it's doing the same thing over here as well. Yeah, I mean, it's nothing amazing, but looks like a bit weaker on NQ. Definitely not ES. Yeah, if we break this low, I'll maybe look at, maybe adding more, but right now it's kind of in a bullish pattern. So it's not looking the best, but I'm not gonna exit based off this. It's still reacting off of something that makes sense to me. So, and that was an area that I kind of eyed once I was gonna enter the trade. I see this one fair value gap. I'm okay with entering the second one. I don't like that we swept right there, but we still have, liquidity down here. NQ still has liquidity down here as well. So I'm not entirely out of the trade yet, emotionally. Yeah, I'm probably gonna short NQ over ES. I might even get out of my ES position, go NQ. Let's see how this one closes. If there's anything developing on the two, nothing yet. Nothing on the three, obviously. Yeah. So let's just watch and see what it does on the one. I might honestly get out at the break even. I'll probably add two here. It's annoying it doesn't change right away, but whatever. That's the reaction we like right there. Jesus Christ, dude. What in the fuck? Right, I'm going to close this one. Get rid of these. Yeah, let's go. That's what I was looking for. Damn, imagine if you got that, you waited till that 30-second fair value gap, got in right there. Stop it there. You'd already be like 5R right now. That's insane. So I guess I'll just hold it a bit. Actually, I probably should just move my stop up for now. I don't know what my exact next target will be. I don't know if it's all the way down there. Yeah, move it a little bit more than even. Beautiful. There's no liquidity voids, which is nice. It's not going to return back. We definitely have a slower, I mean, it's still momentum based, but it's definitely a slower bleed down. I might close one more, take the rest off there, call it a day. Like, I'm pretty happy with the results for today for sure. Yeah, let's close one more. I'm going to watch and see what this candle does. There we go. So that's our one. Got one more. I'm just going to close it actually. Yeah. Trade basically I took, now that it's kind of over. So to go through it, basically, I look up, ES and NQ. Those are the two I trade, the two pairs I trade. It was the PM session, 1:30. We had this H1 fair value gap created from the AM session, as well as we broke structure on, lower time frames and on the H1. Left the fair value gap, definitely was targeting that as a short entry going into the PM session. So 1:30 hit, 1:30 ran up, hit it on ES, didn't hit it on NQ. So that was the SMT I needed to know that NQ was definitely a lot weaker than ES. So I was mainly looking for trades on there, but I had both of them pulled up. Let's dive into the lower time frames to see. So basically, in the H1, I was also looking to see if we would sweep this high. We didn't actually do it. We ended up just sweeping the high, breaking structure right here. You can see breaking structure, came back up, and we ended up going for this 30-second fair value gap before actually reversing to the downside pretty heavily. Now you can see right here, let me get rid of this, that NQ was definitely a lot weaker. You could see it swept this low right here compared to ES, which left basically the hour, the 11 o'clock hour low. It was swept on NQ. And now let's dive into the 1 minute and show you the thought process going into it. So basically we had that structure break in the 5 minute. I entered very early into this. So I saw actually, the way I saw it was, this was the low that was broken. There's my structure shift in a POI, fair value gap created. So I actually entered off of this POI right here using this STH as my stop loss. And then with this one, I really didn't know where exactly to go. There was, just targets, I guess, along the way. There wasn't like any one area where it was like really poor lows. I guess if it was going to break structure, it was just going to go for each of these. So I was going to take profits on the way down. But as I said, I liked NQ a lot more. So that was the one I was mainly looking at. So we had that structure break, the same thing over here. Structure break after sweep of the highs of poor high over here, some highs over here, structure break, fair value gap, entered the same thing basically right there. Stop right there and targeting. I was actually targeting these lows. And as you can see through the recording, it was just such a strong reaction to the downside. I actually took majority profits at this low right here. So I think it was about, what is it? Yeah, 3.6 R. So nothing too insane. I mean, most of my trades on the indices are definitely a lot lower than that, like 1.5 to 2.2 basically. So definitely more of a higher win, and it'd be cool if I actually went for that low right there and could have secured the 6.1 R. But you can actually see throughout it, basically, I managed the trade. So as price kind of came down, swept some lows, broke structure on the ups to the upside. I de-risked a bit, and then after seeing the reaction off of the 30-second fair value gap, I'll show you on both of them right now. Let me get rid of these for you. You get the idea. There was a nice 30-second fair value gap with some equal highs right here, and usually I don't use 30-second fair value gaps for, like these. This was definitely more of like a longer term trade, or I thought it would be at least, going into it. But price came up, filled that, respected that order block right there. If you had your stop there, it would have been a pretty insane R. If you look, both these were kind of created in the same leg, so I wasn't too nervous about it hitting here, but I was getting closer to my stop loss. So there definitely was more of a attention being brought to it. But if you entered off that, you see these two equal highs, the fair value gap and targeted, whatever, even just like the first low. I mean, you're talking, that was a 7R right there alone. If you go to the bottom, I mean, it's probably a 12R. So definitely insane to see the potential with these this entry model going into it. And you can tell also too, the reason why I didn't want to give up the idea going through the trade was there was still equal lows left here, and we already swept liquidity on the high, momentum was the downside, then we just kind of chopped. Didn't really give any more entry possibilities going into it. I mean, you could have probably, if you wanted to tag this right here, but stop loss would have been wide. And then kind of just went to its target. But yeah, besides that, that's just a recap of today's trade. Similar thing in ES to an extent, but ES was definitely stronger. And you could see when price went up there, reacted, broke structure again. I actually ended up adding a contract, or 2 contracts, I believe. I think it was 2 contracts on here. I have to look back. But yeah, I think I added 2 contracts. After the structure break, I saw this 30-second fair value gap as well. I believe it was a nice smaller minute. Yeah, there was a minute fair value gap. So I actually believe I entered more on there and just had to stop, move to the high because we kind of broke structure, reacting off of another low time frame POI. So if it was going to sweep this, it probably would have swept this and gone all the way up. So pretty happy with how this trade worked out. It definitely was a lot quicker than I thought it would be. And just kind of backs up my emphasis on why I think indices are such a great underlying to trade. Like, it really just provides a lot of opportunity. There was a good amount of opportunity on the way up, fair value gaps being filled, entry. Like, there's just so many opportunities if you just use the fair value gap model and structure, basically, with POIs like liquidity and higher time frame imbalances. You use those with the basics ICT teaches, and it gets you pretty far in here. I'm really satisfied with how it's been going so far. So thank you guys for watching. Hope that was helpful in some way, and have a good one.